step here. Today, what we're going to be looking at is some of the modern workflow automations inside of SAM called routines. Now, you don't need a PhD, and you definitely don't need to be an expert in automations to be successful with these. So as we look at all of the different ways that you can build automations using routines or routine workflows inside of SAM, you're going to see exactly how this is going to be accomplished through this clip right quick.
Inside of SAM, we have the routine builder, the routine section where you can set up different types of routines. The power of the routine is in the ability to set up reminders to do things, but also the automation that goes with those reminders. So anytime that you're doing any kind of activity within the system, it's basically just a calculated reminder that you're setting up. And then whenever a particular date field is filled in, it will do something. This is an example of one of those things that I think will be of benefit to many of you, because you can reduce the number of routines that you use based off of certain conditions that may play a factor in its use. So what do I mean by that? Well, many times when you're creating workflows, you're creating routines of different types, sometimes there's some slight differences based off of who am I sending this to. So in the past, you would have to go in there and you'd have to create a routine for buyers and a routine for sellers and maintain two separate lists of either routines or full-blown workflows. And the majority of the parts and pieces inside of that routine were common between the two. So you might have a seller routine and it has lots of different things, and you might have a buyer routine that has lots of things in there, but some of them are common between each other, where normally you would set up two separate routine pieces on that. Well, now, and we added this last week or week before last, we now have the ability to set up what we call conditional actions or conditional messages. So whenever you go in and you go to create a new activity in here, you set up all the mathematics. When is this activity going to create itself? And in this particular case, I'm using the recording date, and it's just 0 days after the recording date. Or in this case, it's actually on the recording date. You may have something that's like, 2 days after the recording date. And that may not be the best date to use as this example, but just for this, this example, we're going to go with it. So typically you would come in here once you've created that calculation, it's going to put it into your calendar on the calculated date, and it would come up as a reminder. Well, you can do that manually, or you can set up what we call actions. Those actions, if you go in here to click on action, we've got multiple different types of actions. You can send a message. You can add to call list. I'm going to come back to this one. You can add to call list where, well, the send the message is just, it allows you to send either an email message or an SMS message, either by template or letting AI create the content of that for you, or you can use a template and have AI alter it or manipulate it a little bit to change it up. So that's just the send message piece. We'll come back to the conditional one. The add to call list allows you to set up an activity that means I need to call somebody, but I want them to be added to my call list in the call list area. And we recently did some changes in there as well. So we're going to be covering some of those changes. We also have an action in there for running a webhook. Those webhooks allow you to send information out of SAM to other SaaS companies. You might send some information to Zapier. You might send some information to any other third-party application that then allows you to do some automation on their side. So there's information inside of SAM that needs to get out to some other party member or some other resource, and the webhook is the way to do that. We also have the ability to update fields. So you can go in there and you can set up multiple different fields that get updated automatically whenever this action runs. Maybe you're changing statuses, maybe you're changing dates, adding tags, deleting tags. There's lots of different things that you can do with the update field piece. If you're using Slack, you can send Slack messages as an action. So on a given date and time, something happens, maybe you get a new lead and that lead comes in, you want to send a Slack message to your team, you can do that. We do have the notifications inside of SAM, and you can send notifications to you or your team members based off of something happening. And then the last thing that has been in there is the ability to stop a routine. And this is particularly important for whenever you have, maybe you've got a routine that deals with lead nurture. You've got a brand new lead that comes in and you're sending them content on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever. And then at some point they decide, yes, I'm going to do a listing with this agent or a buyer's agreement with this agent. So they become a client. At that point, you may want to stop that lead nurture and start some other nurturing or process that you want. So the stop routine just gives you the ability to automatically stop something based off of some condition or something that happens that triggers the routine. All of those have been important. All of those have been critical in building those automations that you do every day.
Now that we understand how we can use automations inside of SAM, you're going to start to see how easy it is to stand up entire systems that can help run your business more successfully. Now, if you would like to try this for yourself, you can visit sam.workflowsecrets.info and get started with 14 days of free access on us. This is no obligations, but what it's going to allow you to do is get into SAM and start standing up some of the automations like you've seen in this video, maybe one of our other videos. I can't wait to see you inside the system. Go ahead and click sign up at sam.workflowsecrets.info and get started today.